Chat portion of Morning Coffee, and today we have Diane Ross and Sabrina Harrison for Resources from for Human Development. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So what is Resources for Human Development?
We go by RHD a
Okay.
lot, so we might just make that shorter. It's
That's fine by me. I
yeah.
always fall over my tongue.
That's okay. RHD is a large nonprofit human services organization that provides diversified human services across the country in now 15 states.
Wow.
Yeah, we're very proud of the work that we do to support really some of the most vulnerable people in our communities.
When we hear the term vulnerable, we've heard that phrase many times. What do you mean?
People from birth to 90 years old who might be struggling with some addictions, homelessness, mental health challenges, developmental disabilities and autism, food insecurity, housing insecurity, folks who really have barriers to living really healthy, fulfilling lives.
Okay. Let me take you back just a second. I've heard the phrase food insecurity and housing insecurity, but what do those mean?
They mean that there is not a confidence in that person or family's life, that they know where their next meal is coming from or whether they will have a roof over their heads. So it could be people who are staying with families, so not technically on the street yet, but don't have a permanent place to call home.
Because those are things we take for granted, but that can become such an overwhelming fear that it could drive the whole quality of their life.
Oh, absolutely. It's we have a program that we can talk more about that's called La Casa, and La Casa supports young men between the ages of 18 and 25.
That
who
age where they all kind of drop out of the system.
Right, and they're not young enough for the children's services, and they're not really appropriate for adult services yet. So they are kind of a hidden group of homeless people.
Okay.
But one of the things that we've experienced with our young men is that once they have somewhere safe, what they say is most relieving is that they can finally get some sleep. So when you don't know where you're going to be or whether you're safe there, you become hypervigilant, and it affects your whole body, mind, and spirit.
Okay, that goes back to the old Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's true of so many of the people that we support across the country.
So let's find out who Diane and who Sabrina are.
Okay.
So who wants to go first?
I'll go first. I'm Sabrina Harrison, and I am the Regional Director of Philadelphia Services. I provide support to families, which means adults, as well as children who are either at risk or who are experiencing some behavioral health or social service need.
And I'm Diane Roth, and I am the Chief Executive Officer for Resources, RHD. And so I have the privilege of trying to lead this very large, beautiful organization.
And you've got quite a history with them also. You started out as a high school student?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. When I was about 15 years old, my mom needed me to get to work. So RHD put me to work, and I had other jobs in the intervening years at times, but I've been there now for 25 years straight, and enjoying every minute of it.
Okay, and that's great. You mentioned earlier you're now in 15 states,
Yes.
and which was the state that just came on board?
South Dakota.
Wow.
Yes. South Dakota, we've just, we haven't even started the services yet, but we are getting geared up to and are already marketing the services for conflict-free case management for adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Actually, I think children too.
Conflict?
Conflict-free means that we won't be able to provide residential or employment services also to those people.
Will not.
Right. So we will be supporting people to make those choices in their life with other providers.
Okay. So
That's
you're
why
going
there's no
to
conflict, yeah.
guide them to the other services.
Yes. And make sure that their voice, their choices, and the family that they're in is really heard about their wants and needs.
Now, you also, I'm making an assumption since Sabrina, you said that you're in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware?
I primarily work in Philadelphia, but yes,
Okay.
we are in all of
Okay.
those things.
Yes, if you start up north, we're in Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, New Jersey, all throughout Pennsylvania, which is our anchor state, Delaware, little program in Virginia, North Carolina, Florida, Louisiana, Missouri, Tennessee, Nebraska, Iowa, and South Dakota.
Do you practice that every
Yeah,
day?
I have
we
to
should
do
do
it geographically.
Do it again.
That's why I let's make it a song, I think, you know.
Okay. So let's talk about the services that is offered by RHD.
Okay.
So give us that 10,000-foot overview of all your services.
I would start by saying our primary service lines, first and foremost, would be residential programs and
That's
day.
live-in
That's
program?
live-in, whether it's one person or up to 3 or 4 people. We don't typically go beyond 4 people in a residential program for
Okay.
people with intellectual and developmental disabilities
Okay.
and autism. And then we have also in most of our states that we provide residential services for that population. We also do really amazing arts-based day and employment services. So our artists in those programs are amazing, and their artwork is for sale, and the proceeds go to the artists. So that's how it becomes an employment program as well. And there are many art shows across.
Does that also apply to youth where they're involved in those programs?
So, our children's services are pretty diverse.
Okay.
There are programs that provide art therapy, dance movement therapy, things of those natures. But we also provide social services. We provide case management support. We provide support to families as well as individuals.
Okay.
So we range from birth to, well, actually, I guess, extended adolescence, which would be 25. So La Casa was an example of a program where it's not really a children's program, but it's not necessarily what we would consider an adult program. They're transitioning into adulthood.
Okay.
You want to talk about high fidelity?
Yes,
That's
so
really cool.
so we have a newer program called High Fidelity Wraparound, which
Okay.
is an evidence-based practice, which is not a case management service, but functions very much like that.
Okay.
We involve the community in the support of families in transitioning from either a hospital, a residential treatment facility, or from some higher level of intervention. And these kids are coming from this very intense very intense service
Okay.
back into the community, back into the homes with the families, or even into foster care, and they need some additional supports. So instead of always having a professional, we engage the community like churches, mosques, synagogues, whoever is what is considered a natural support. So it could be the aunt down the street, it could be the neighbor who runs the local bodega, it could be any number of things. We engage those folks to support that child to transition back into their neighborhood.
It almost sounds like we're going back to the model of it takes a village to raise
a
that child.
Exactly.
And I know that phrase is used often. I'm just a little curious. You mentioned them transitioning out of a hospital environment, and I didn't even consider that. What typically is involved in that?
So, I mean, we talked about folks who are vulnerable or at risk. And sometimes there are children who have emotional or behavioral breaks, and it means that they require very intense services, which might include a hospital, might include a residential, which means they're apart from their family for a period of time.
They're living in a group home.
A group home, like I said, a hospitalization program, a partial hospitalization program, a residential program. But the goal is to have them back with their natural families and back with their natural supports. But that takes some transitioning. So programs like High Fidelity Wraparound help with that process.
And help the family to really be stronger as well.
I hear more and more when they talk about Alzheimer's that how it impacts not just the person but the family. And in the case of youth services, you don't hear about that, but it is a significant factor, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Major.
Absolutely. Our philosophy is really, there are no children's services that are not really family services.
Okay.
We can't serve a child well without both supporting and providing training and education to the family, so that they're the ones who are going to help that child in the long run.
And part of what makes our services really unique and I think effective is that we have parent engagement, which means that we look for parents to be very involved in the process, whether it be therapeutic or social intervention.
I know for a lot of parents dealing with these problems, it's not in the standard handbook of parenting, and
Right.
I haven't found that book either.
Right.
No.
Right.
So they need help as much as the young people or the other people.
Yes.
And I think we're about at that point where we need to take a break. So
Okay.
we'll take our commercial break and join us back in about 2 minutes with Nonprofit Chat, which is part of Morning Coffee.
Today's show has been sponsored by Farmers Insurance in Voorhees, New Jersey. To protect your assets and the people you love, call Mike Skoranek, your local Farmers Insurance agent, at 856-336-2553.
We are farmers. Bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 bum.
If you haven't been to Speed Raceway, what are you waiting for? You want to live fast? You want to make every second count? Then grab the family. Round up the guys. Speed Raceway is 100,000 square feet of excitement, whether you're a kid or a kid at heart. Speed Raceway is the place for endless fun all summer long. Log on to speedraceway.com or just get here now.
When it's time for Jersey Mike's to give a sub some sizzle, this is the way. The way it's always been. The way it always should be. The way it always will be. Because that's just the way it's supposed to be. Jersey Mike's. Be a sub above.
Simply Gents, located in Marlton, New Jersey, takes care of all your grooming needs, including haircuts, straight razor shaves, massages, facial, manicures, pedicures, and waxing. To find more information or book an appointment, visit us online at www.simplygents.com. The secret weapon of a well-groomed man, Simply Gents. Today's show has been sponsored by More Than Gifts. Come see our new location in Marlton, New Jersey. Not just gifts, but more.
Welcome back to Nonprofit Chat section of Morning Coffee, and today we have with us Diane Ross and Sabrina Harrison from RHD. So, when we took our break, we were talking about youth services, but youth aren't the only people you serve. You serve veterans also.
Yes, yes. And one of the things that I think is in common with all of our services is that we do look at the whole person, and we're really trying very much now to focus on the impact of trauma on people's lives.
Mhm.
For our veteran services, particularly a program called Healing Ajax, we help the returning citizens, so the vets, who are coming through primarily our court systems. So veterans,
Now, this has been a big issue, isn't
it's a
it?
huge issue. And many of our veterans who have served to protect our country are coming home and not having the services they need, whether they've been honorably or dishonorably discharged. The traumas that they have experienced in war have made such an amazing impact on their lives that has affected their whole body, from health to spirit to mental illness and addictions.
I wouldn't call it amazing, I'd call it more frightening.
Yes, I don't know what quite the big enough word. And true also of, with our children's services, that it's not just supporting the child, we have to look at the whole family. The same is true for our vets. Our vets come back into families that can't understand where they've been, what they've dealt with, and the vets don't often feel comfortable sharing that with them. So our Healing Ajax program is a program for vets by vets.
Okay.
So it's a peer-led, evidence-based, psychoeducational process that helps our vets really work through their issues of trauma, have a different way of communicating safely with one another, as well as advocate for their own needs in healthcare and behavioral health care.
Why is it so important that it's veteran to veteran based? What difference does that make?
We've found that it makes a huge difference for the veterans to feel safe enough to open up, to have any sense that the other person can understand where they've walked, what they've seen. A lot of the vets don't want to put that on someone who hasn't, and don't often feel that it is masculine or it is part of the code of honor to speak about these things outside of their own community. So whether they're male or female veterans.
I was going to
Yeah,
say,
we have
because
female veterans
you
as
also
well.
have a lot of women veterans who
Absolutely.
are coming back and are dealing with the same issues.
Right. And the families, if we think about generational impact of these wars, what happens to our vets with unaddressed trauma, PTSD, post-traumatic stress syndrome, that's impacting not just the vet, his or her partner, their children, their whole family. So that's what we're trying to address now.
Because I know you always hear from many of the boomer children that their parents never, or their fathers never spoke about their experiences in war, and only afterwards they find out what happened or what they were involved in.
And we have many, many children now who haven't even had time with their parents.
Mhm.
And that's an early childhood experience that will probably affect them the rest of their lives. Large gaps of time without their parents.
That's an important program that we very much need. One of the other areas we hear a lot about is homelessness, especially for single mothers and for young children. And can you tell us what you do in those programs?
Well, we do. We have several programs that focus on serving and supporting individuals and families to become housing self-sufficient, let me say
Okay.
it that way. So in Philadelphia, we have a shelter called Woodstock that
Okay.
is an actual homeless shelter for moms with their children. And I believe we have 64 families in that
Wow.
particular facility, an old nursing home that the city has had us running for past probably 10 years, supporting the moms and their kids to come through that shelter system into more permanent housing. We also have the Families in Transitions program that then also supports the young moms with their children transitioning from homelessness and trying to stabilize in housing. And then we've had until we're about to sunset a program called Endow a Home, which was really avant-garde 25 years ago, where we raised the private funds to help homeless mothers buy the homes that they would eventually raise their children in.
Similar to Habitat for Humanity.
Similar, right. And so we have a range of services for mothers and their children, including our family house model of service that we have in multiple states. Family House is an addictions and mental health recovery residential treatment program for mothers with their children. So while the mom is getting some real help in her own recovery from addictions and other mental health issues, the children are also getting support, and the mom's getting support to transition into housing security with parenting skills.
Okay, and that becomes important because the effect of parents without these parenting skills is tremendous. You see a lot of
Right,
that, don't you,
cycle back.
Sabrina?
All the time. We actually, I wanted to mention Progress Haven, which is our couples homeless facility. So so that the family just isn't a mom or a child, but it's couples who find themselves homeless and seeking shelter. So we run the gamut.
And you also have a program called Women's Space, I believe.
Yes, we have several women's space programs in the country. Women's Space is a residential treatment facility for women, primarily who are coming out of incarceration, who have addictions and or mental health issues.
Okay. And do they usually have the kids with them at that point?
Not in the Women's Space program, but they often are supporting their children who may be staying with family members or foster care while they're with us.
Okay. Well, believe it or not, we've got to come up on another commercial break.
Okay.
So when we come back, we'll talk about some of your programs for people transitioning back into society. And
Okay.
we'll have our wrap-up also. So this is Ira Weissman with Nonprofit Chat of Morning Coffee. Please join us in a couple of minutes as we continue our conversation with RHD.
Today's show has been sponsored by More Than Gifts. Come see our new location in Marlton, New Jersey. Not just gifts, but more.
Saving your business money is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Tanker Consulting Services, a payment solutions expert, will show you how with a free, detailed, written analysis illustrating your cost savings. We usually uncover savings between 10 and 25%, and sometimes more. We can help your business succeed by providing reliable and secure merchant payment solutions such as merchant services programs, point-of-sale systems, and ATM machines. TCS, one of the leaders in regional credit card processing consulting, offers electronic payments to merchants locally and nationwide through our preferred vendor programs. We work to keep business costs down with a comprehensive suite of quality products, services, and customized credit card processing programs exclusively tailored for your company. TCS is convenient, reliable, and innovative, with customer service available 24/7, 365 days a year. Our in-depth industry knowledge, partnership strategy, and innovative processing solutions allow for a specialized approach to providing merchant bank processing with 100% full fee disclosure. TCS is one-stop shopping for all your merchant services solutions. Our clients save money 100% of the time. Trust Tanker Consulting Services, the knowledgeable, professional, and friendly provider of secure payment services. We set the standard by which others are measured. Call now for a free written analysis. 609-922-0201.
Today's show has been sponsored by Farmers Insurance in Voorhees, New Jersey. To protect your assets and the people you love, call Mike Skoranek, your local Farmers Insurance agent, at 856-336-2553.
We are farmers. Bum ba dum bum 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 bum.
Welcome back. This is Ira Weissman with the Morning Coffee's Nonprofit Chat section. and today we're talking with Diane Ross and Sabrina Harrison of RHD. When we took our break, we were talking about transitions, and you deal a lot with the mental health arena and people transitioning back into normal society. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, we have been for now 40 years very much at the forefront of supporting people to move out of state institutions into community-based settings. The move now really across the country is to support individuals with mental health challenges to live very independently with supports in their own homes. So that's really our main thrust right now for those adults with mental illness. And I think that's important for everyone to understand, is that our goal is to support the person in their own community, so we're not keeping them away from others. So we don't have kind of isolated groups of mentally ill people living anywhere. They are our neighbors. They are our friends. They are our church and our mosque and our synagogue members. What we're trying to do is help those individuals kind of rebuild a circle of support in their own community, and to build their skills for staying well and whole in community.
Now, you hear an awful lot about the recognition of autism in young people, ADHD, and how do these programs tie to that?
So, much like Diane said, what we try to do is support children in their natural environments. So even for students who have autism who attend Philadelphia Public Schools, we provide services in those schools, in their homes, in their natural environment, to teach them, coping mechanisms, behavior modification techniques that parents can use in order to, support their child in their natural environment instead of having them be removed or to provide services in an institution.
And from everything I'm hearing, it's so important now to help the young people stay in their natural environment rather than take them out. Sometimes there's got to be an intervention where they're moved, but it's better for the young person to stay where they're comfortable.
And it also helps the entire family with building skills. You certainly want the family to remain whole, but you want them to be able to be informed. And so having a child with special needs is difficult. And we want to be able to help parents understand what that difficulty is, and then break down those barriers so that they can support their children in their natural environment.
Well, I hate to say it, but we've run out of time.
Oh, no.
And what I'd like to do is have you tell, and we'll get you back to cover
Good.
how many more programs do you
About
have?
100 more. So
Well, that's about 4 more shows, but we'll get you back in to talk about your other programs. In the meantime, if people should need your help or want to reach out to you, how do they contact RHD?
the best way to contact us for supports as well as for employment, because we're always looking for really excellent, caring, wonderful human beings to join our family of service. You can reach us through the website, www.rhd.org, or at our main phone number, 215-951-0300. But the website can give you access to information about all of our programs across the country.
I'm going to ask you to repeat that now, because
Sure.
probably everybody was searching frantically for a piece of paper and a pencil.
Okay. www.rhd.org.
Okay, and the phone number?
215-951-0300.
Diane, Sabrina, thank you so
Thank
very
you.
much
Thank you
for
for
coming
having
on
us.
and for what you do. This is Ira Weissman. If you need help with strategic planning, putting measures in place for your nonprofit, succession planning, or event planning, please feel free to reach out to me. My website is www.idea-innovations.com. Thank you very much and have a great day.